Voltron is a coaster in the Croatian area at Europa Park. It opened on the 26th of April 2024. It's a Max Striker coaster, which is an upgraded model from the Big Dipper. It has the same seating style, but it has 4 rows. This ride has strong airtime and great hang time, and also a good amount of positives, and it has really good launches from Mack rides. The ride goes 100 kilometers per hour or 62 miles per hour. It is 32 meters tall or 106 feet tall, and it's 1,300 meters long. It has 7 inversions and 4 launches. The ride can have 7 trains on the track, and each train can hold 16 people. The theming is exactly how you would expect from Europa Park. It's themed to an experiment from Nikola Tesla, and it has a lot of electricity effects. The main element on this ride is a beyond vertical launch, which is 105 degrees. Now this ride has a lot of standout moments, but what also stands out is the queue line. The queue line mainly has switchbacks, but you don't even realize it because there is so much to look at. The queue line starts in this big building underneath the first launch. You walk in a little hallway where you choose if you want to go in the single rider, the virtual queue, or the normal queue. If you take the normal queue, the queue starts in an outside area with an amazing view of the first launch and the final brakes. You also have a lot of theming pieces to look at. But when you take the single rider queue line or the virtual queue line, you completely miss this area. You instantly go into this big indoor space. Now this hall has even bigger switchbacks, but that doesn't mean that it's boring. The first thing that you will come up against is this big animatronic of Nikola Tesla. Next to him is a big animatronic that gives power to the beginning dark ride, which I will talk about shortly. That dark ride section is placed up behind those two animatronics. It's behind some flaps that can open up and close, so sometimes you will see what is going on and sometimes you won't. But after each time the train launches, you can look to the other side of the hall and see a really big screen that shows that the experiment worked. This screen has insane quality and feels really real. And the coolest effect is a music show that is made with electricity. This show happens every 15 minutes or something, so if the queue is full you will probably see it at least one time. It's really loud and stunning to look at, and when it ends, everybody starts clapping. Seeing this in real life was just amazing, and it just boosts the queue experience. Now I'll quickly go over the locker system. When you are at the end of the queue, you get a card which you can close and open your locker with. You put your stuff in at one side and get your stuff at the other side after the ride. But when you don't have anywhere to put your card in, it's not an efficient locker system. Personally, I had to put it in my shoe, which worked, but if you don't have that, you have a big problem. But after you put your stuff in the locker, you have a little bit more of queue before going up the stairs that go into the station. Now this is a moving station, so the trains move at a steady speed and you move with the train so that you have really fast operations. You can pick your own row, so it's complete luck. The chairs are some of the most comfortable chairs on any coaster that I've ridden. The restraints close by itself and the ride operator checks them, and then you are good to go. Coming out of the station, you make a left hand turn where you park in the beginning dark ride section. A lot of electricity starts going around you before the train shoots up a bit while it starts shaking. You get bounced up and down twice, then you stand still for a second and you shoot up into that beyond vertical launch. Now this is a really intense LSM launch that you would not expect for a Mack coaster, so keep your head back and be ready. After you start launching, you immediately shoot up 105 degrees, which feels insanely weird and really intense. After that world class element, you go into an inverted top hat, which gives crazy hang time for a good amount of time. Then you go into a corkscrew, which is really whippy, and then without time to think you go into a really strong airtime bump. And if you care, that's when the photo gets taken. But this airtime hill has to be one of the best moments of airtime of the whole ride. and that says a lot because this coaster is packed with very strong airtime. But after that little airtime pop you go into two immoments that each twist a different direction. The first one is an inversion and you exit with floater, but the second one is not inverted and you get thrown out with airtime, and if you sit on the wing seats you get insane laterals. After those two immoments you go into the second launch. Now I don't find this launch as good as the others, but it gives a nice push for the next element. But I think the main reason that this launch exists is because it can act as a block zone. If it's needed, a train can stop here until it needs to be launched again. And the way it gets launched again is of course a swing launch. This is one of those things that make this ride unique. But after that boost you go into one of the best elements of the whole coaster. You go up into an insanely big stall, and this is not a 0G stall. You actually get very strong hang time and it feels like you're dangling forever. And after this insane element you get another insane element. This is an airtime hill that absolutely throws you out of your seat. This is not normal ejector. I think it hits minus 1.6 Gs. So these two elements after each other is one of the best moments of the ride. After that airtime hill you turn a bit to the right and then you twist into a twisted airtime hill. Now this does not give strong airtime, but it's still a fun element. Then you go into a dive loop that is really fun on the wing seats because you get twisted in a really fun way. And then you go into the brakes. But luckily these are not the last brakes of the ride, you're only halfway. And what they did here is really smart. They made a turntable that can act as a block brake for 3 trains. And it can act as a way to put the trains to the maintenance area. The only thing that they could have done better is the theming. You have some around the turntable, but you can still see a lot that you don't want to see. But I didn't really focus on that, so for me it did not matter. But this break is really needed because you are tired after riding Voltron. It really exhausts you, so standing still for a second is really nice. So when you align to the other side, you have another launch. And because it's Voltron, you won't be getting a normal launch. You firstly launch backwards into a scorpion tail. In the front this scorpion tail does not do anything, but in the back it's a really fun element. The launch starts off strong, but you get pushed even more midway the launch, which gives a fun feeling. But after the backwards launch you of course go forwards, and this launch, it is intense. I recently rode Terran at Phantasialand and I could even say that this launch is as intense as Terran's launches. After that launch you go into a top hat. It gives airtime, but it's not as intense as some of the other elements. What I like about this top hat is turning out of the element, which gives fun laterals, especially on the wing seats. And from here you begin your return trip, because Voltron has a really out and back layout. It's basically a trip to the turntable and back. So after that top hat you have an airtime hill, which also gives strong airtime, not as strong as the one after the stall, but still great ejector. Then after that hill you kind of have an outer banked wave turn, which of course also gives ejector and maybe a little bit of laterals. Then you go into the only normal block brakes of the whole ride, but it's not a boring block brake because you go into it with a double up that gives insane ejector, and you also carry so much speed while not slowing down. Then you get a really strong and really fast pop of ejector airtime coming out of the mid-course. Then you go into the second corkscrew of the ride and it's really floaty and whippy. Then, coming out of the corkscrew you have a really tight, fast and low to the ground turn, which is so intense that sometimes I grade out while trying not to. You get 4 Gs for a good amount of time. Then you whip to the other side going into a cutback, where if you are grayed out you go back to normal vision coming out of it. After that you go into your last inversion, which is another corkscrew. Then you have one last airtime pop going into the final brakes, and that was the whole layout, which takes around 2.5 minutes. Voltron is an insanely long ride and it's really exhausting, so riding it a lot is hard, but I would not say it's not re-rideable. Now what a lot of people say that they don't like about Voltron is that it's rough, but what I say is that it's not perfectly smooth. I've ridden smooth coasters like Fly, Conda and Mechalodon, and rough coasters like Loop Guru, Express Platform 13 and Poseidon. And I would say Voltron is in the middle, but it leans more towards smooth. And we know 2 of the 7 trains are rougher than the other 5, so maybe I just got lucky, but if you didn't, that's a you problem. And I did not notice any difference on the wing seats and the inner seats, so I definitely prefer to sit on a wing seat. That is of course because you get thrown by every single element. So what I like and think stands out about Voltron is the pacing is absolutely insane. You never feel like you're slowing down, only when you need to, like hang time moments. The elements are overall just crazy. It truly has some of the best elements in the world and it has a lot of elements, so that makes the ride very long. It truly never ends. The theming and especially the queue. It already feels like you're in an attraction waiting for the actual ride. There's always something cool to look at and you will never be bored waiting for Voltron. The power of the launches. These are some of the most intense launches I've ever done, so that instantly makes the ride powerful. Of course the seats are very comfortable, which also makes the ride feel smoother than it actually is. And lastly, the uniqueness. Voltron is a masterpiece when it comes to engineering and it has some very smart things in it. But that also means that it has a lot of downtime, but you can't really ride it all day because there's a whole park around it. So for my final score of Voltron Nevera, I will give it a 10 out of 10. Not a 10 plus or an 11, because I don't think it's the most perfect ride ever, but still a very high 10. So make sure you ride Voltron if you have not already. It's truly an insane attraction and it's some of the best you can get. So make sure to like and subscribe because there will be a vlog coming out someday. And of course many more coaster videos. And then I'll see you in my next video.